Welcome to the Wolfram Language in Section 1 of Fast Introduction for Programmers. This first section covers the basic process of creating and running Wolfram Language programs. The most common way of using the Wolfram Language is interactively, which means that to enter programs you can just start typing. For example, here is an input that adds two numbers. To do that computation, press Shift-Enter or Shift-Return depending on how the keys on your keyboard are labeled, which means press the Enter or Return key while holding down the Shift key. Exactly what you see when you first launch a Wolfram Language session will depend on the version of the Wolfram Language that you are using and whether the session is running on the web or on a desktop and so on, but there will always be a large empty area like the one shown here in which you can enter and edit your input. To enter another input, just continue typing. This uses the range function, which is one of several thousand built-in functions in the Wolfram Language. To do that computation, again press Shift-Enter or Shift-Return and you get the result. Pressing Shift-Enter or Shift-Return sends your input off to a computation engine, also known as the language interpreter, which does the computation and returns the result. Implementations of computer programming languages are sometimes described as being either compiled or interpreted. The Wolfram language is an interpreted language, which means that programs are run by sending them to a language interpreter, the computation engine, without any extra steps, like compiling the program into machine code as in a compiled language. Wolfram language programs are instead interpreted directly by the language interpreter. In an interactive Wolfram language session like this one, the inputs and outputs are labeled by in and out labels. If you are doing a series of computations that use results from previous steps, you can use % to refer to the previous result, or %n to refer to output number n. For example, this uses % to refer to that last result and uses the length function to give the length of that list of numbers. To refer to a previous result, though, it's often better to define a variable. For example, you might use this input to define the output of the range function as the value of the variable x, and then use x, as in this example, to refer to that result. Defining variables will be discussed in more detail in a later section. That's the end of the examples for this section. In addition to these videos, there are many other resources for learning the Wolfram language. One resource is the book An Elementary Introduction to the Wolfram Language, which is available either online or as a printed book. This book is especially useful if you haven't done much programming before. Thank you for watching, and we invite you to continue with the next video in this series on Wolfram notebooks, and the videos after that cover the basic syntax and structure and special features of the language.